Today is November 13th, 2017. The time is 11:39 a.m. This is Investigator William Newsom with Georgia Post Council. I'm in meeting with
Thomas Farthing,
who is an officer with Stapleton Police Department. This will be in reference to a case involving Georgia Post Council. Just get some personal information from you first. Is all your information in what's considered the Post Gateway, is all that information, your contact information current in there?
Yes.
Okay. I'll get all that from there. How long have you been with Stapleton PD?
A little bit over 2.5 years, full-time and part-time.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to let you, instead of going through 1,000 questions, what I typically will let people do is I'll let them start at once upon a time. I'll let them tell their story.
Right.
And then it lived happily ever after. Sometimes that's the truth, sometimes it's not. You know, it's happily ever after. But that way I don't have to ask you a ton of questions to get to what's going on. Now, I may interrupt you periodically because I may need some clarification on things. But I'll let you start as to why it is that I'm here, and I'll let you kind of go through that.
Okay. Well, originally what happened was it come time for my recertification. I had all my hours. I did everything online I needed to do, plus my recert post-block, and the only thing I was lacking was what I thought was my firearms recert.
Okay.
I talked to Gary McCord, who's firearms instructor. Me and him talked, and kind of clear. He said, "Well, I'm really tied up and stuff like that." I said, "Well, my certification runs out in November." I said, "What can we do to resolve it?" He said, "I'm really busy. I'm really tied up." He said, "What I do?" He said, "I'll put the information in, and I'll get you to the range ASAP."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, that's fine." Well, he put the stuff in. I didn't think nothing else about it. I went ahead and finished up everything I needed to finish up, and time went on. Well, never heard back as far as range and shooting. Myself didn't feel right about it. Chief didn't feel right about it. So that's when they come into play to where we're at now.
Okay.
We know it don't feel right morally, and we wanted to get that justified and not try to cover anything
Sure.
up, not trying to hide anything.
Sure.
It's like, well, he was supposed to do this time done lapse, and it don't feel right. If something's to happen, what's next?
Sure.
I wouldn't be able to sleep at night, and I'm assuming my chief's got to cover himself in
Sure.
along with the department. So it was more a moral and integrity thing more than anything.
Okay.
It's like, well, this much time has done passed. What's the next step? And before, and didn't want to try, not really cover it up, but didn't say nothing or pretend it didn't happen, try to rectify it and justify it.
Sure.
And get it straightened out.
Okay.
And that's where we're at now.
Okay. I'm going to go back through and I'm just some clarification on things. So, your recertification now, and just in case people hear this recording or whatever, they don't understand, officers nowadays, when they become certified, every 4 years they have to be recertified. That's correct. And so you completed all of your paperwork, or you were in the process of submitting all of your paperwork for your recertification because in November your recertification was due.
Right.
Part of what you were led to believe was a component of that recertification was a firearms qualification.
Right.
You have since found out it was not a component of it, but at that time you were thinking that you had to be recertified, firearms included. So you went to your chief, and did he contact, and Gary McCord is the chief of Wrens Police Department, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Did he contact Chief McCord, or did you contact Chief?
I contacted.
Okay. So you contact Chief McCord. When did you first reach out to Chief McCord?
I can't remember the exact date. It was sometime in October.
Okay.
And, of course, it wasn't, and like then it was like, well, this ain't no rush, whenever get a chance, and time went on, we and him stayed back and forth in contact, and they come out, he said, well, it's getting close to time for your stuff to run out. I said, yeah, we need to, he said, well, I'll put stuff in, he said, and then I'll get you to the range first opening I get.
Okay.
I said, okay, I agree, hey, look, if it's right here in the immediate time of the paperwork, okay. Well, it turns out time lapsed, and that's where it brought up the red flags.
Okay. So there's communication between you and Chief McCord about this qualification. He knows that you've got to have it before November when your certification expires. And let me back up a little bit. when did you get the ammunition from your chief for the qualifications? Do you remember when you got that ammunition?
I can't remember exactly what day.
Would have been in October or November?
It's October.
Okay.
Because he gave me the ammunition and told, soon he said, when it comes up, go shoot and we'll go from there.
You remember how many rounds you got from him?
50.
Okay. So there's you and Chief McCord have this conversation back and forth. Y'all trying to kind of coordinate things as to when you can get there. Time is about to lapse. This conversation that you and Chief McCord had, was it one where he contacted you, or did you contact him and say, look, my time is about to run out. What do we got to do?
I contacted him.
Okay. And just so that I'm clear, and I want to make sure, his reply to you was, I will go ahead and submit your paperwork, and then we will get you to the range after the fact.
Yeah.
Is that something to the effect?
As close to that, it was more or less. All right, he said, I'll get that to get the paperwork squared away, and I'll get you on the range ASAP.
Okay.
And that's where we left it until time started drifting off.
Okay. Your understanding in that conversation, your understanding would be you knew that, and because I want to make sure we're sure on this, you knew that y'all were going to submit some paperwork that would not have been accurate, but your intentions were to try to make it right before time lapsed, correct?
Right.
Okay. How long after that conversation took place did he get you paperwork?
I don't remember exactly when he put it in.
Okay.
Only thing I did was, because everything was already done online as far as all my stuff, and I gave my chief the paperwork, and it showed that hours were there. We submitted it, and that was it.
Okay,
Really
so you never picked up any C11 or anything from Chief McCord. He input the training on his end, and then you logged in and acknowledged that you had that this training had taken place, or how did all that take place?
Well, not as far as it just showed that the hours were there.
Okay.
I couldn't, because we can't control our training hours, and I just gave the rest of the paperwork to my chief, and and submitted this stuff for the recertification.
So what you gave to your chief, so Chief McCord submitted a C11 on your behalf, showing that you had attended firearms qualification.
Correct.
Okay, and then the paperwork that you gave your chief was just a print off, basically, of your training hours.
Well, he pulled up my post record himself.
Okay, but that's the paperwork that y'all had. Y'all never had any kind of paperwork from Chief McCord.
No.
Okay. On the paperwork that Chief McCord submitted, or in your post record, when does it show that you would have gone to the range?
I don't remember what the date
Okay.
exactly it was.
What would it have been in October?
I don't remember.
Okay. But you never went to the range in October.
That's correct.
Okay. And to be honest with you, you knew that he submitted a report that indicated you went to the range in October. You knew that, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I do appreciate your honesty, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it'll go a long ways in this case. When people, dishonesty in something like this is gonna hurt you.
I have no reason to lie about it. Like I said, and the sole purpose. I thought, okay, well, this is here. I was thinking, that day, the next day, at the latest, I was gonna get certified.
Sure.
Well, time just lapsed, and be honest, got worried about it. I mean, it's my livelihood. It's what.
Sure.
I started out in corrections, went to jailer.
Sure.
And then went to mandate.
Sure.
So it's one of the things that started worrying me. So that's why it was something that felt needed to be taken care of.
Well, and I think it shows that you've got some. You had some ethical issues with this, and the fact that you come forward with it, mm-hmm. and that speaks profoundly about your character. That although there was this thing that took place, you knew it wasn't right, and you've come forward to try to rectify it. Prior to coming to your chief and telling him, I've got this issue with my training, did you have any communications with Chief McCord about it?
Just periodically. It's about, hey, look, I'm still waiting on you. Let's get this, get it taken care of. And that it was never long. It was never long, drawn out conversation. It was, a minute here, a minute there.
Did you ever express any concern with him about, look, I've got this record and with posts that indicates I've done something that I've not done? Did you ever have that conversation?
Well, it was mainly just, we need to get this taken care of.
Okay.
It was more of my
Okay.
My personal thought. I didn't want to I didn't want to feel like I was pushing anything or going out the way for something. I was
Sure.
just, you know, internally just pushing. Look,
Sure.
we need to take care of this, and
Okay.
that's
When did do you remember when you first notified your chief about this?
the day that everything was submitted for the research.
Okay. And that would have been the day that y'all attested to everything?
That's the day that everything was attested.
From the time that, and I know that time has passed and you can't
Right.
give me a specific number, but from the time that Chief McCord would have submitted that paperwork to post showing that you had requalified with your firearms, how many times do you think you've spoken with Chief McCord since then?
3, 4
Okay.
times. I mean, because well, in the grand scheme, I understand that there's conflict of scheduling and everything else. So you know, it was
Okay.
mentioned because it was something that was bugging me, but it was something that, you know, I don't want to push completely against the grain and it not happen at all.
Sure.
So that's
Did you ever suggest to Chief McCord that y'all go ahead and submit the paperwork and then get requalified later?
as far as suggested wise.
Did you?
No, it was
did
just
you ever?
more. It was a more of a just what do we need to do to get so I can get recertified and that's what.
But you never went to him and said, "Hey, look, I got to get this done. Do you mind putting the paperwork in for me,
No.
and then we'll get qualified later?" Okay.
I never asked or, you know, demanded that. Hey, look,
Okay.
will you purposely do this?
Okay. If he had not submitted the paperwork on your behalf, what would you have done?
I would have contacted Post and see what about the status of my
Okay.
certification, what needed I need to do to
Okay.
proceed on.
Okay. Okay.
Because like I said, I know once, theoretically from the mindset I'm in, once my certification ran out, I knew at that point until it got rectified, I did not have any kind of rest powers. I didn't have any, and needless to say, I wouldn't have a job or
Sure.
a paycheck. So that's
When was the last time that you legitimately qualified? Do you remember?
it was in Washington County. When I was assistant chief with Davisboro Police Department. I qualified with Joe Cochran.
But was it last year?
That was last year.
Okay.
I just don't remember.
Okay.
I think it was.
But you definitively qualified last
Yes.
year. Okay. And we say last year, but it had been in 2017.
That's correct.
Okay. We keep on saying last year, but it's actually this year because we're getting towards the end of the year.
Well, that wouldn't make it 2017. That would make it. I want to say 2016.
Okay, so you got to qualify this year.
Yes, I have to qualify this year.
Okay, so you haven't qualified this year at all.
No.
Okay.
That's where it all
Okay.
through the red flags and stuff like need to legitimately get this handled.
Well, but not only as a premise of your requalification, of course, it doesn't qualify with that, but you need to make
You're
sure
right.
that you get with your chief so that before this year runs out, you get to the range. What happened to the 50 rounds of ammo he gave you?
I still have them.
Okay.
I have them in my storage in my Tahoe.
Okay. You realize when you attest in that computer that you are submitting these records, you are attesting that everything that you've submitted is accurate to your knowledge, correct?
I realize that.
And it's almost like, well, you're actually swearing that what you submitted is accurate.
Yeah, I realize that. That's a little. I know it's a little too late to realize it, but yes, I realized after the fact, and that's what really started bothering me.
Sure.
Is I know it's too little, too late, but then that started affecting for us my integrity, my credibility. That this ain't right. Need to rectify it.
Okay. Have you ever had any other issues in the past with Chief McCord about him doing the right thing or anything like this? First
Never.
time? Okay.
I worked for him when I first got a mandate, and all the way up till I was his corporal until I left.
Okay.
I was his corporal on traffic division.
Okay.
Never had any kind of issues with training or so forth, and as far as any kind of, I guess they pencil with it, anything.
Sure. Okay. Well, this is kind of a pretty straightforward kind of thing. What I will ask you to do, if you don't mind, is I'm going to get you to write me out a statement.
Okay.
Just basically putting in there kind of what happened. If you can remember dates, yeah, and if you can't remember dates, early October, mid-October, things like that would work.
I don't remember what time frame.
But if you're not sure on something, I don't want you to guess.
Yeah.
You can just put an approximate time in there. And just for clarification, because I pulled it up and it looks like he's showing that you would have attended it on the 23rd of October. You haven't taken. Not only did you not qualify, did you attend any? Did he put you through any kind of use of force training or anything?
I did use force myself.
Okay, because he put you in for a 2-hour block of qualification and use of force.
Okay, I didn't know about that part of it. I didn't read that part of it.
But you took a separate use of force class
Yes.
through. Did you do it online?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
Okay.
I did de-escalation use of
Okay.
force.
It's a long, painful class, isn't it?
It is. But I mean, I took all that myself on my
Okay.
own accord.
But he didn't give you any additional training in use of force.
No.
Okay. Is there anything about this that I need to know about that I haven't asked you about?
I mean, I don't. Like I said, I know it's a clear cut, and I know it's too little, too late. But bottom line is, I mean, it was a mistake made, and trying to rectify it the right way
Okay.
instead of just not trying to sweep it up under the rug, not trying to hide it.
Sure.
I mean, like I said, I know it's a little late, but I realized I made a mistake and I allowed it to happen, and instead of stepping up and not letting it happen.
Okay. Well, at this time I am going to end the interview. It is 12:05 p.m.